Welcome back, guys. This is Keeping Up with the Targaryens. This is our House of the Dragon recap show. Mm-hmm. I'm Cassim G. I'm joined with Megan Lutz and Steven Serwinski.
Nice to be back.
I got it right this time.
Got it right every time.
Guys, thanks for coming again, by the way. You guys are my go-tos when it comes to this world. You know, I can do my best as a casual observer of the series, but I really need your expertise. You know what I mean? There's a lot.
We're here for you.
Especially in this episode.
Yeah.
Wow. So Steven was here last week, but Megan, you weren't. And there's a new mechanic we've introduced. And by the way, Lena's here as well.
Hello.
Hey, Lena.
Check out me and Lena talking about Andor episodes 1 through 3. That's on our channel right now. We introduced a new mechanic. It's called the Dragon Scale. Okay, a nice a viewer, gave us that name, but we wanted to see if we could apply a mathematical system to these episodes to be able to determine what makes a good episode.
Yeah.
And last week, I think we came in at a 6 or 7 or something.
6, yeah.
Okay. We're going to add it up here in a second, but let's just say this number is much higher.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We attribute points to, and we may have to adjust our scale at some point, but for those of you that have given us suggestions on the Reddit, I asked for you guys to send us some of your suggestions, which we've taken a few of, but we apply points to things like death. Was there death? +1 point.
Yeah.
Was there incest? +1. Was there erotic incest? +2.
Oh, yeah.
Dragons. For every dragon that's on screen for 10 seconds, that's +1. This episode took me some time to tally
Yeah,
up.
it's a lot of dragons.
So before we actually deep dive into the episode, we're just going to take a few minutes here. We're going to tally up the score, and I think that'll inform the rest of the episode and how we feel about it, because some are saying this is a classic episode of House of the Dragon for a show that's already only been out for 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then we're going to get into your thoughts and whether or not you agree with that. Right away, we're hit with a childbirth scene, right?
Yeah.
Immediately.
That's a +1. I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to go from how I have it here on this list. We have 1 point for each dragon. We saw a dragon 5 different times. Now, where I think we may need to modify this is we may need to just take points away for just dragon appearances and just count points based on seconds, because we have over 3 minutes of dragon in this episode.
3 whole minutes.
3 minutes and 17 seconds of dragons, CGI dragons.
That's incredible.
Which tallied up with the points that you get just for seeing a dragon, gave us a whopping 24.7 points just on the dragons alone.
That already puts it in.
That puts it in classic territory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's not even counting all the other stuff that has happened in this episode because there's quite a bit. Now, last week we put in a system, a point for dragons roasting a principal character,
Okay.
which
Okay.
was +3. We didn't, in fact, add a dragon roasting a non-principal character. And what I wanted to talk to you guys about is Lady Lena, who's married to Damon, R.I.P.
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 By the way,
Bless up.
spoilers. We're going to be spoiling the shit out of this episode.
Yeah.
Do we give Lena, in my eyes, she's not a principal character. She is a main part of the main cast, the ensemble, but I wouldn't consider her, especially with how little we got of her in the first few episodes, to be a principal character. What do you guys think?
No, definitely not a principal character.
Yeah. Steven?
I agree that she's not a principal character, but I also agree that it was a question worth raising because
It was, yes.
she kind of had an outsized, I mean, they're kind of in this whole pickle because someone wouldn't marry her in episode 1, 2. So
A pickle's a great way to describe the events of what's happening in House of the Dragon. Absolutely. I think we give her +1 for being roasted.
Yeah. Absolutely.
By the way, Vagar, holy smokes, we're gonna get into that. Now, here's another question that we have to ask ourselves: do we want to add masturbation as a +1 to this scale?
I mean, yeah.
And did you think I was going to ask you about that when you came into the show today?
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
I was hoping.
I know.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to add masturbation. That's going to be a +1.
Yeah.
And Stephen Q from where was Stephen Q's comment from, Lena? Was that from chat?
Oh, that
or
was
Reddit?
my question.
Oh, that's from you.
This is my cue.
Oh, this is Stephen's Q.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does Allison getting so close to her son with a boner count as incest? This is. I love that you brought this up.
I love where your head's at, Steven.
Love where your head's at. If this did count, then I would be guilty of it personally.
Oh no.
So I just want to say, your mom opens the door a little too fast, and she's literally feet away. As a child, that stuff can happen.
Well,
It doesn't
yeah.
mean that it's incest.
Yeah, I
I
would say no, but I like where your head's at.
I think
I like where your head's at.
I think there's always the moment where the door's open too quickly, but she like goes over and touches his face.
I know, I didn't like that.
And it's not like she didn't
mean,
know.
she
She
was
knew what
emotionally
was going
charged.
on. Yeah, I don't know. I think there was a line between
She threw it away.
an accident, like, oh no, this happened, to like, I know what you were doing, and I am touching your face
Yeah.
in full
you
full
definitely get a
knowledge.
sense that this has happened many
exactly.
times.
I think
Exactly.
I
right.
mean, he's
Too
very brazen about
a
it.
lot of yeah. That was the same window that Tommen jumped out of, isn't it?
It
in
looks
Game
like
of Thrones.
Yes, it was.
It looks like.
Man, lots of things falling out that window.
As we know,
Careful where you stand.
lots
slippery.
of stuff.
Yeah.
Lots of
Slippery
stuff.
windowsill.
As we know from Homelander and The Boys, this is a move that writers put in when they want to show,
Oh yeah.
like it's a psychopath move. This is like somebody who is not of sound mind and body.
Yeah. It happens in Succession as well, which
Succession. Oh, right in the window.
Yeah.
Right in the window.
Yeah.
What is up with windows and jacking it?
I don't know.
You know, they
You'll have
say
to
the
tell me. I
windows
don't know.
are the eyes of the soul of a castle. We should come up with
so-
something by
so
the end.
right.
Okay, we're going to add some points here for a Jack session, which is going to be newly added to the list. That's +1. We are going to need to also add suicide.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Yep.
That was not something we had thought about creating this list last week. But guess what? As I said last week, this list is fluid and it's ever evolving. We are adding suicide. Now, death, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're getting a +3 here for
Yes.
death because there were
Yep.
3 separates.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you name them in 3 seconds? Go.
Harwin.
Yes?
Lionel.
His dad.
Yes.
Yeah. Lena.
Lena.
Yeah.
Does her unborn child count?
Well, this is fun because stacking does count, but we do have a separate abortion +1.
I don't know if it's technically an abortion though.
Okay, great. Now this is getting into politics, which I really I am totally open to adding unborn baby.
Yeah, I think it's just a straight
Okay.
up baby die.
Because it's full term.
Okay,
Full
so
term.
Ready to go.
we're going
Yeah.
full term. We're going full. We're gonna add another point. Damn, this is exactly why I created the dragon scale.
Yeah.
That's a +4. That actually changes our outcome here. Okay, perfect. I love that we had 4 deaths. Pregnancy, birth, which is pregnancy/birth, usually +1. We had 2 instances.
Yep.
It opened
Yeah.
and it almost closed with this as well.
Yep.
So that's +2. Viserys deteriorating. You put a +1, Lena.
Yeah, because, okay, he's still alive.
He's still alive.
Shockingly.
God, he is so
But
crusty.
He looks like
Does he, like-
Gollum.
He's not the opposite of deteriorating. He's still deteriorating.
He looks like he's in better shape than the last time we saw
Less
him.
hair.
Better spirits.
Yeah, better
a pep in his step.
spirits, less like just passed out while they're putting leeches on him.
I did like the primping of the pillows
pillow.
behind him
Yeah.
sort of thing, and then he was like, I don't like this, and then when it stopped, he's like, why'd it stop? Like,
I know.
baby man.
He's just, his skin is gross, and it is leprosy, is what Patty Considine officially said in an EW interview.
Yikes.
He just looks so bad. I mean, he looks like he's just being kept in water when we don't see him. He's gross. Okay, so grand total for this episode is a whopping 35.7 points on the dragon scale.
that's
That is a
high.
new high score out
Yeah.
of the 2 weeks we've been doing this. But it is 4 times, 5 times the score of last week's episode.
I
Yeah,
mean, this is a
5 times.
banger episode.
I mean, let's get into it. Let's talk, unless we have to go to a
Let's
commercial.
go to break now.
Okay, let's go to a break. When we come back, we're going to be getting everyone's initial thoughts on the episode. Then we're going to go through all the big moments on Keeping Up with the Targaryens. Episode 6 recap. See you in a bit. Back, Keeping Up with the Targaryens. Before we went to break, we were just about to get into our overall thoughts on this episode. Now, the Dragon Scale puts us up at almost 36 points, which mathematically means this is a classic episode of House of the Dragons. What about your personal feelings, your guys' thoughts? Megan, let's start with you.
I thought overall, like, what an episode. I have some mixed thoughts on it. I thought this would have been like a killer pilot. And I understand why they had so much lead up, but like this really felt like a strong reset. And I have a little bit of mixed feelings about the time jump because like we built such a connection to these actresses playing these 2 main roles, and
Yeah.
really they only recast like 3 people maybe.
Right.
So it's that part is a little jarring. There's a little bit of weirdness with like character development. Like we spent so much time building up Lena, and she's dead. Harwin's dead. Like all of these people, they're just kind of going through people really fast, and we don't have enough time, I think, to really like connect with anyone.
Sure.
So, but overall, like, also I was watching this with my in-laws in the room, so I was very, very uncomfortable. Classic Game of Thrones. But
Yeah.
overall, like, I like this episode.
Great, Steven. And by the way, I got a comment here from Gold Blooded who says this episode was better than the Game of Thrones finale.
Oh yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Are we in agreement of that?
Yeah, that's like a 3-point episode though.
Yeah, we should apply our scale.
Yeah.
To older episodes.
Retroactively.
Retroactively. Yeah. What'd you think, Steve?
I really liked this episode. The first half really, I thought, sung very nicely. I was taking notes during it, and I really liked how much like body language work was done in the first half.
Yeah.
They were able to like reintroduce a lot of, or tell you the new state of a lot of relationships just in like tiny looks, and I really like that as someone who, wishes I could write well. I just like just Harwin's like little looks.
Mm-hmm.
What a cutie. I mean, we'll talk about that more later, but what a cutie.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think there was a lot of what those actors and actresses brought from their counterparts that were playing the younger versions of themselves, but still were able to like, soften as they got older, and where Rhaenyra would be more sort of like quick to, act out. I think older Rhaenyra is a little more methodical. I really like this episode. I remember in the post-show, whatever those little discussions that they have at the end of the episode, they said it was like another pilot that they had.
Yeah, absolutely. It felt like it.
You're introducing all kinds of new people. I spent like the whole episode just trying to figure out whose kids were who.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, and let's talk about that because it was. I don't know, the way they've laid this out, for me, so far, I'm more interested in this story than I was in many of the Game of Thrones stories, just because of the fact that it started kind of here, and it's widening at a pace that I'm I'm comfortable with as an idiot. And, infighting within families is something that we can all relate to, right? And Viserys, who's so... I don't know. This is all kind of his fault, most of it. It's just the one decision that he made to marry Alicent early on, like really has put a deep divide into his relationship, the relationship Rhaenyra has with Alicent, and now different houses. Like, it's really fun to see all that play out. It does feel slightly rushed, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember listening to a podcast, and they were talking about Lena's relationship to her dragon Vhagar, and like all of a sudden Lena she's riding the oldest dragon, and that dragon wasn't like, I didn't know that they had to like if they didn't bond when they were kids, that would mean they could bond later. Like that's all new information. But like how did that all happen? Like that sounds so interesting to me, that how certain things that they sum up really quickly in the show probably would have been really interesting, but of course, like they have to cut.
Yeah, I think part of the issue is just like how over so many decades this story needs to take place, and the other one is the book it's based on is basically like a history book written by someone who wasn't alive at the time in universe. So it is a lot of like an entire scene in the show was like one line in a book.
Right.
So it's like, how do you, like, if it just says like, oh yeah, now Lena rides Vhagar now, that's just a line. How do you adapt that and still keep the scope of like, oh yeah, we've got like 30 more years of story to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we pick up at the beginning of this episode, which they like to do. So far, 2 episodes start with like a childbirth.
Yeah, I loved the beginning of this because it told us so much, and I loved the way it was shot too.
Yeah.
And like it's such a good
The sound design on it was. I mean, we should say it was really good because it made me very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was brutal to listen to. And I thought like it showed the dynamics of where Alicent and Rhaenyra are so well, that like as soon as she gives birth, the queen wants it. And I actually thought something much darker. I was like, oh, she's gonna try to kill it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that
but
is
then
dark.
It becomes clear like she's just trying to check for the features. And Rhaenyra, what are you doing? What are you doing? You have a target on your back, and your succession is already a hot button issue. Like you want to shore that shit up, not fuck around.
I know. I really do have a question on how genetics like work, You know, because it seems
do
like
too.
Viserys and Alicent, all their kids are blonde.
Yeah.
Yes.
But she has brown hair.
She has brown
Yeah.
hair.
Yeah.
But now Rhaenyra and Harwin, who are the same sort of pairing,
Yeah.
all dark hair.
Yeah.
Is it like a male dominant thing?
Well,
Like, I mean,
I-
like, how does that work? I don't know. I need a Punnett square.
I know. That's what
It's
I was thinking.
it's in Game of Thrones. Rhaegar, Daenerys' older brother, is Jon Snow's father, and
Yeah.
Jon Snow has dark hair, even though
Right.
Rhaegar had the blonde hair. So let's get a geneticist on the show, figure out how this works. I would love.
Yeah, the first maester to kind of like, you know,
Yeah.
map the human genome is gonna. He'll have his own castle to live in. For
Yeah, it made me think of the first season of Game of Thrones when Ned is going through all the books.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He's going through all the Baratheon children, and they all have black hair, and that's when he realizes like Joffrey is a bastard.
Yeah.
But it's like a little bit of like a reversal on that.
Can I ask a dumb question?
Please.
Sure.
Do we think Rhaenyra actually consummated her marriage with Laenor? Because I was starting to think like, do they just not sleep together? Is that why like she hasn't successfully had a child with him at all?
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
The dynamic
Laenor.
was interesting to me.
My interpretation is Laenor is not interested in women, and so they have an agreement, and so every child that they've had has been like, as per her conversation with Laenor originally, was like, I'll do my thing on the side, you do yours, and so every pregnancy has come from Harwin. Is that sort of what we're supposed
Yes.
to believe? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And they basically confirm it.
I think it almost puts a target on her back if she does have a child with Laenor of like, oh, like this is what the kids are supposed to look like. That really kind of puts
That's
the
true,
rest of
too.
it. They kind of like can't pretend anymore that the other kids are both of theirs if they have a kid themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, okay, so Alicent requests to see the baby. Rhaenyra's like, I will show you the baby, and I will come, and like she has a literal trail of blood.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oof.
And her and Laenor are walking up, and they arrive at the Queen's chambers, where Viserys shows up, and he's like, oh, look he's always like, hey, look, we're a family, like this is fun, I'm a granddad again. And Alicent walks over to Laenor with a real fun line, is like, hey, maybe if you keep trying, you'll get one that looks like you eventually.
Yeah.
Which was like,
Brutal.
that kind of lets us know exactly where she's at really quickly. She's still in the mode of like, these people are a threat to my kids.
Yeah.
And that divide has only grown over the 10 years. And then, she's trying to have a conversation with Viserys about like, don't you think it's weird that all these kids have dark hair? Like, are you just willfully blind, or like, and Viserys, I guess, is a good dad, puts trust in his daughter, which is like every father should. But it's pretty obvious that there's something going on, and he's not really hearing it.
Yeah, I think deep down he knows he's just like trying to block out all of his doubts. Because we heard about his doubts a couple episodes ago when he told Alicent about them, but I think he's just like in deep denial.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much of his reign has been trying to like keep the peace. Like he kind of made a statement about keeping the peace as well, and I think in his mind that means letting a lot of things slide that I guess what people would consider a strong king maybe wouldn't let slide. And that's what's getting him into this pickle. Is he's letting too much slide. He's making decisions off the cuff and letting other people make decisions off the cuff as well.
Yeah, and you see Alicent and Kristen now, they're walking, and Sir Kristen, I gotta say, this son of a bitch.
Yeah.
This
I mean,
jerk.
he's still so angry and has so much hatred for Rhaenyra for something that basically, like, he asked her to run away with him. She's gonna be queen. She has a kingdom. She has responsibility. She's like, nah, man, but like, let's still like hook up.
We can make it work.
And he gets so angry.
He sucks. He's the worst. Like, get over
He
yourself,
sucks.
Kristen.
He sucks. He calls her the C word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uncalled for. Even Alicent is like,
No,
too far.
I know. It's good to know that she has a line somewhere.
Yeah.
She goes from hearing the C word to walking in on her oldest son, Aegon, jacking it in the window. Right on the windowsill there. where normally you put pies on a windowsill. Here is a full-grown adult masturbating, spreading his seed all over. I don't know. Is there a moat underneath there? Like, is there some unlucky?
There
son
will
of a
be
bitch?
eventually.
Holding a bucket outside.
Oh.
Yeah, and so she's essentially telling him, look, you gotta grow up, dude. You're supposed to be king, and these
Yeah.
people stand in your way. And he's like, I don't care, I just won't challenge it. She's like, you are the challenge.
Yeah.
It's true.
He's trying to say, like, these are my family, and she's like, not enough for you to feel safe around them.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not wrong.
She's not wrong.
I think they're both playing the game really bad. Everyone's playing the game terribly
Yeah.
in this, but she's really going hard.
Yeah.
She is. And it does seem like everyone's trying to do their best with the shitty hand that like Viserys kind of dealt for them, and he just walks around with like hey, when's the next party sort of attitude. There is a really fun dragon sequence that comes out
Yes.
right after this, where Damon and Lena are cruising around. This is where most of our dragon points came from. Was Lena riding on what we now know as Vhagar, which is the oldest dragon.
Vhagar was Visenya Targaryen's dragon when they took over Westeros. So,
Wow.
Yeah,
How many
very
years?
old.
Old
Yes.
Do you
dragon.
think that is? How many decades are?
It's about almost 200 years.
Whoa.
Almost 200 years old.
Yeah.
That's an old ass dragon,
Yeah.
crusty, but he still
Big ass
flies.
dragon.
Yeah.
It's tough to I don't know what happens to dragons when they get old, but this one seems to still be able to fly. I'm assuming there'll be a point where they're like grounded, where they're gonna just be moved into the like California Science Museum and just put on display, like Viserys' dragon, whose skull is on display
Yeah.
below the castle.
Yeah.
So we see sort of. Are we time to go?
Yes.
Let's go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about Pentos, where Damon and Lena are, what's going on with them, and more of episode 6, Keeping Up with the Targaryens, right after this.
Bye.
I forgot to...
Ooh.
Welcome back. It's your boys, Keeping Up with the Targaryens, episode 6. Megan had to leave for a meeting, and that's just life, isn't it? At any moment, anyone on this table could get up and go because these people actually have regular jobs, and we're asking them to be here on a show.
I'm skipping a meeting right now, literally.
That's a dedication we need. I'll have that
Yeah.
conversation with Megan offline. But all this is just people at G4 that watch these shows and love them coming to talk about them for an hour. So sometimes they'll come and go. Where we left off. Okay, Lena and Damon are at some new castle called Pentos.
They're in Pentos. That's one of the free cities, city-states across the Narrow Sea in Essos. It's where like, all those cities where Daenerys was running around for the first couple seasons of Game of Thrones, yeah.
Well, with or without clothes sometimes.
That is what happened.
That is what happened.
Yeah.
Prince Reggio is essentially asking Damon and Lena to like, hey, we've got money, you've got dragons, let's make this work.
Yeah.
And Lena is kind of doing her best to tell Damon and iterate that, or reiterate the fact that she is like homesick.
Yeah.
She misses her family, and she, she's a dragon rider at heart, and she wants to get out of there. She's kind of been. It seems like she's been not forced into this marriage with Damon and popping out these kids, because it does seem like she does care for him.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem like this is the life she wanted for herself.
Yeah, I think like the last time we saw Damon 10 years ago, he was such a scheming to get on the throne, and for him to go from that to getting so like bogged down by life where he's like, no, I'll just like accept a mansion and
Right.
live as basically a bodyguard for the rest of my life. That's a big difference in who she married.
She essentially tells him, this isn't who you are.
Yeah.
You when I met you, you were like hungry.
When I met you, I was turned on that you literally just killed your first wife.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was a very young girl.
Yes.
By the way, he hasn't aged at all.
No.
He grew his hair out in the 10 years.
Yeah.
But that seems to be about it, while his brother looks like he's found at the bottom of a Doritos bag. Like he's so crusty, this guy. And so, okay, so we figure out that maybe Damon's like lost his edge a little bit. He's dulled. Lena wants to go back home. And that's kind of a fun catch up there. But we come back and we see Kristen teaching and Harwin teaching the kids how to fight.
Yes.
Now, it seems like Kristen wants to teach Aegon and Aemond. And he's only teaching them.
Yes.
Because he's sort of like on the queen side of this whole thing.
Yeah, and very interesting that Aegon and Aemond were wearing green under their cloaks, whereas Rhaenyra's kids were wearing the Targaryen red and black.
So symbolic.
Under their armor, rather.
They smash it over our heads.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the sort of like what side these people are on. And Harwin has some words for Kristen, like, hey, why don't you teach all these kids? He's speaking about Jacaerys, and he essentially wants Kristen to not favor. And they get into it, and Harwin loses his cool and beats the absolute living shit out of Sir Kristen, but Sir Kristen liked it.
Sir Kristen earned that beating.
Yeah.
Yeah, he deserved it.
He deserved it, but like in the end, he wins.
Yeah, he proved his point.
He proved his point. It showed that he pretty much outed Harwin as somebody who's like got this deep dark secret.
Yeah.
Can't hide it anymore. Sir Kristen, who by the way was so close to just killing himself, we would have got a +1 suicide last episode, has now not only survived, but he's like up there. He is right hand of the queen. He is like taking sides, and now he's sort of at odds with Rhaenyra and Harwin and anyone that they're sort of allied with.
Yeah, it makes sense, but like when Laenor and Rhaenyra are walking into the queen at the beginning, like Laenor gives him the dirtiest look. I mean, obviously he killed Joffrey.
Yeah.
But like
having to interact with that guy,
having to pretend to be nice
every day.
for every day for no wonder they're all fighting.
God, it's classic hot guy gets away with murder.
Yeah. What I
Literally.
want to know, what was the slap on the wrist he got?
I don't
like,
know.
did he pull he pulled a knife? Like, did he like pretend something, there was a reason, or?
No idea. I think if anyone so far has skated, it's been him. We see Harwin have a nice moment with the kids, young Joffrey. They named the child Joffrey as Laenor was paying tribute to his fallen ex-lover.
Yeah, cursed
Sir
name.
Kristen bashed in. And, there's a really nice sort of like relationship that they have where Laenor leaves him sort of alone for a moment so Harwin can enjoy his kids that he's not really allowed to call his kids.
Yeah.
And Rhaenyra, you can tell, is happy that he's able to do that. And he obviously clearly has a bond with these kids.
Yeah, there's a nice, like, almost like we make this family work somehow. There's no level of jealousy there. They're just like, there is a level of peace that is like obviously thrown into dismay.
And you know what's a fun scene right after this? Lena, all the way back at the Pentos, is in front of the fire with her daughter. What's her name? It's so hard to keep track.
The two kids are twins. I don't know the specific
Rhaena
which
and
one.
Baela?
Yeah, I don't know which one's which, but Rhaena and Baela.
Can
they
we just
love?
So much of the same letters rearranged.
Yes, and it's all like, I mean, it's just like so much of their genes getting rearranged as they keep it in the family.
That's a great point. And a really fun fact comes out here where she's kind of sad that she doesn't have a dragon, right? Because apparently half these dragon eggs hatch. No guarantee.
No guarantee. And
Yeah.
the fact that Rhaenyra's kids' dragons hatch kind of like is her shield of like, look, they must actually be Targaryens. Look, they like, or Valerians. Like, they've got Valyria in their blood. Like,
Yeah.
whereas your kids aren't.
Yeah,
doing
and
that.
It's a great point because now that Jacaerys is taking control of his dragon and he's dark hair, it kind of shows that you don't have to be a blonde hair freaky kid to be able to control a dragon, which could throw a lot of what we believe about these Targaryens out the window. So she tells her daughter, "Look, I didn't have an egg hatch for me, but I hung in there, and I eventually started riding Vhagar, who's again the oldest, largest dragon.
With history.
With some real history. And then we're at a meeting that's essentially a council meeting about the Triarchy.
Yes.
Rhaenyra is trying to clear the air between her and Alicent. She proposes. She's trying to come with some olive branch here.
Yeah.
She proposes that Jacaerys marry Helena.
Yes.
To sort of like end the conflict, bring the two houses together. It's a compromise for both families, and it doesn't seem like Alicent takes to it.
I really like how Alicent, she admits to Viserys that she sees this as like, oh no, if she's suggesting this, that means we got her on the ropes. Like,
Right.
I really like that she looks at that gift and just like looks at it in the most cynical way. Mm-hmm. It's such an interesting contrast to the last time we saw her 10 years ago, where she was always smart, but she was naive, like not in a bad way. She just trusted people at their word, and then obviously learned that you cannot do that in this town.
She's definitely gotten smarter.
Yeah.
But also, like, she's lost a lot of that innocence and the part of her that made her so likable.
Yes.
So everyone's kind of like unlikable and likable at different parts. You know, like Rhaenyra to me is more likable now, but she was maybe less likable before. Like, I don't know. I could probably get some pushback on that, but it seems like everyone sort of seesaws a little bit.
Yeah, it feels very real in that way, where it's we can enjoy some of their choices, and some of their choices just, I mean, except for Kristen.
Yeah.
Screw that guy.
Screw that guy.
Screw that guy.
Yeah.
Grow
Yeah.
up,
Grow
Kristen.
Speaking of some of these choices, Lionel Strong, the Hand of the King, decides he wants to resign. He goes up to the king and he's like, listen, dude, I got to get out of Dodge because there's some stuff going on. And the king's like, well, what? He's like, I can't say. And Allison's like, yeah, dude, what? That's the Southern California translation of what's going on. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
What's up? And Lionel's like, nah, dude, like, I just got to get my kids and, like, get out of here. And so I got to tell Harwin that he's going to be, like, the new Lord of Herron Hall. So, like, if you wouldn't mind, like, I'll stick around, dude. But actually, I got to, like, escort my, like, young son over to Herron Hall. So, like, I'll be gone for a little while, but I won't leave you. And the king's like, all right, dude, that sounds pretty good to me. And Allison's like, oh, fuck this, dude.
My 40-year-old young son.
Yeah. And so, yeah, there's a fun little scene there. I think you almost get Viserys catching on, you know? He's got to know, and he's just got to be, the second he says it is the second he believes it. So he just avoids mention.
I think there's a great argument to be made that he sees everything, but he knows the second he says it is the moment it ruins one side or the other's life. So he has to walk that line. He has to willfully not see it, to the point where everyone just calls him out on it constantly.
Yeah.
He loves his daughter. He's got to protect her.
Yeah.
I like that feature.
Yeah.
I really do. I think there's something that's so earnest and so wonderful about a dad who will, like, with, like, to a fault, just always stand up for his daughter.
Yeah, especially since he feels he has to protect her too, because he's like, I put a target on your back by naming you my heir.
Yeah.
And now you're putting a bigger target on your back that I need to, like, put these fire outs and protect you, because you're already getting attacked for something you can't help, and now you're doing things that maybe you shouldn't have done, but I'm not going to make it worse for you.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I heard that there's a new maester, so maybe that's why he's been around longer.
Oh, yeah,
He's been
yeah.
getting better treatment.
Yeah, they in the last episode, there's that one maester who goes up to the Grand Maester and says, like, I've got some herbs, maybe that'll help instead of leeches.
Yeah.
So I guess he's taken over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Beep, beep.
Beep. Great timing, Kat.
Let's go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're talking the last act of episode 6. And boy, is it a doozy. Mm-hmm. This is where a lot of our points came in on the Dragon Skill. So stick around. We're going to get into it right after this commercial break. We are back. This is Keeping Up with the Targaryens, episode 6. My main man, Steven. My main man. Look, exclamation point Q sends a question over to Lena. Lena will then add it to the Google Doc, which I got right here in front of me. And we have a couple of questions that maybe we're going to answer or try and answer for you right now. One of them is from Tom Vella. He says, what's going to happen with Vhagar? Will Damon just assume ownership?
I want to give an answer that doesn't go too far into book spoilers.
Yeah. Be
because,
gentle with me.
Yeah, I think it's very valid to
slow.
just want to experience the show for the show. But in the coming up, we did see a moment where one of the Damon's daughters says someone stole Vhagar, so that is coming up. And then there will be another rider for Vhagar, and it is a character we know, but who it is, I won't say who.
Ooh. Dragon Rider switch +1?
Yeah.
Think about it. Gunpie Yeah Boy says, is there a potential tipping point of the dragon usage that could result in negative scales? This is a fantastic question. Look, I don't know of anyone that will complain about too much dragon. Here's where I will agree with you, is that it could diminish if too many scenes of people on, like when they're actually riding the dragon, the shots of them riding the dragon, and I mentioned this in another episode, still looks so bad. It's 2022.
Yeah.
We are able to do fully CG anything.
Yeah.
Some people live in a metaverse, but yet we can't even get a shot of somebody riding a fake dragon to look like it's just not somebody like on a green little pommel horse. You
Yeah.
know, like I see all the behind the scenes in those shots. There's no way to look natural. And like, what does a natural person on a dragon look like? It's not whatever they're showing.
I think there was a shot in this when Lena's riding the dragon, and I was fine with that, but then you just see Damon like rising into frame on his own, and
Yeah.
that was a little goofy. I don't know, is the key you just like, the camera can't keep pace with the dragon. Like, you can't have the moment where you just see them able to talk to each other. It's like, it always needs to be in motion. Like,
something is off.
something,
okay?
like, yeah.
It's
can't
gonna
follow.
take more than just a fan blowing hair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These guys are going like, what's the actual miles per hour?
How
What
are
these
they
guys?
holding on?
They're going, I want to say 200 miles an hour.
gotta
If you
be.
were going 200 miles an hour, 5,000 feet up in the air, wouldn't just more than your blonde hair just be
Yeah.
your clothes? It would be like
could not
Strap
hear
down
a thing,
helmet,
yeah.
At least
you would need to be chained to this sucker. You need to have a 5-point harness. There's a scene literally in this episode where Damon goes, he's basically bracing himself with his inner thighs. I just knocked over my coffee. That's how upset I am. And he looks over at Lena, who's riding Vhagar, and he's like,
Imagine what
How
those
about this?
guys are like then if he can do that.
show me some wind. Show me like the physics
Yeah.
of what it's like to be up there. Okay? You guys were clearly in a warehouse in England with like a big fan blowing on them. Like that, I need more than that. I will start deducting points if I get too much single, like medium to close shots
Yeah.
of dragon riding.
I really like that answer. When you read that question and you said it was a great question, I was like, oh, I don't know where this is going. But yeah, that is the right answer to that.
It has to be. And the scenes where you get like the How to Train Your Dragon scene where Jacaerys and like his little dragon comes up, and like those are wonderful.
Yeah.
The dragon's a very like Jurassic Parky, it's got a raptor look. It's very cool. There's like, it's believable. It's not. It's just standing there, and it's like scorching a goat and like eating it. Like those are all really cool, well done CGI scenes. I just don't know how we don't manage to apply like all the visual like expertise behind like the special effects on the dragon riding. Sorry, that took way too long to answer, and we have so much show to talk about. Where we left,
It was worth it.
yeah, thank you. Where we left off, Laris was in the Queen's chambers, or the Queen was in Laris' chambers. I don't know, but it's clear that she has made an ally of Laris,
Oh yeah.
who is this episode emerged as the darkest, one of the darkest villains I've seen in this universe.
Yeah.
He's so scary because he seems to be like Bobby Fischer, 12 moves ahead of everyone. And he seems to know a lot.
And he's willing to go there and pretend he's doing it for a good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Allison has him and Kristen at her side. Like, there's going to be a reckoning somewhere down the line with the two of them.
Somebody's going to die soon, and guess what? Right after this, he goes down. Larys goes down to where they keep the prisoners, the dungeon.
Yeah.
And we get a very close-up shot of his cane, which has a bee symbol on it.
Some kind of
Some
bug.
sort of insect.
Yeah.
And he's essentially making a deal with these prisoners. We don't know what exactly at this point, but he's like, I'm willing to show you mercy. You just got to do something for me. Shot of him literally cutting the tongue out.
Yeah, that was
of
a
these
brutal
guys.
shot too.
Brutal shot.
Yeah.
Between that and the umbilical cord getting cut.
I like the umbilical cord.
You
thing.
like that, huh?
I mean, it was a nice touch. I feel like that's such like when there's birthing scenes, it's always so like, and this baby is now 3 months old because the lights are too hot for a newborn. Like there's
Yes.
always that. So I was like, I appreciate the little touch of that, but
Yes.
the sizzle when the knife touches the tongue,
Yeah.
woo, got me.
Woo-wee. Between this scene and like I've been watching Dahmer all weekend, like I'm in a dark.
You gotta lighten that up.
Yeah.
What's the
palate cleanser?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I've been playing Splatoon, and that's bright and colorful.
Yeah,
and
that's-
everyone's a squid, but that's got dark lore. If
Does
you
it
know
really?
Splatoon. Oh, buddy.
I'm gonna get sucked into Splatoon lore now.
So Lionel and Harwin on their way back to Herron Hall, where Lionel's gonna. So essentially, Harwin has been let go. He's been expelled. I don't know what you call that, but
From the City Watch.
he's been let go, and he's gonna be taking up head there at his family's castle in Herron
Yes.
Hall. Lionel goes with him to see him off, and Lionel wakes up, and there's a fire.
Which, if you know your Herron Hall lore, is something that has always killed.
Well, tell me
people involved.
because Larys makes a comment about there's blood in the
Yeah.
so something about Herron Hall it's sort of a magnet for disaster.
Yeah,
it seems
basically, Herron Hall was just completed as Aegon was taking over Westeros. It was a very, very ruthless king that lived there. Herron, Aegon came with his dragon, said, "Give up." Herron's like, "I'm in the biggest castle that's ever been built. I've got water and food for years. You give up." And
Yeah.
Aegon literally melted the castle with Balerion to the point where it was like burning for like years. And
Wow.
and yeah, ever since then, people say it's cursed, and it seems very likely. That's also where Arya is the cupbearer to what's his name? Which Lannister? Tywin Lannister
Yeah.
in Game of Thrones, when she's like every moment thinks she's going to get found out. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's a place where nothing good has ever happened.
No, geez. Okay, great. Well, it's good to know that backstory because up until that point, it was just a spooky castle,
A melted castle.
a melted spooky castle. So we see a lot of these guys with the same sort of emblem. Like, by the way, like Larys somehow
branding.
Yeah, somehow is a genius marketer.
Yeah.
And he's put his little like evil little symbol on
Prime
like these
marketer.
sort of capes and sent
Yeah.
these tongueless bastards out there to kill his brother and his dad. Okay.
Rough.
This is why this guy's like the Joker, dude. He's just wants to watch this world burn literally.
Just a little twisted,
Yeah, that's right. He's damaged. And when we come back, essentially he tells Alicent that he's, like, oh, just found out, like, man, yeah, it's crazy that,
Yeah.
That place has always been cursed. And she, she understands what he's telling her.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's blackmailing her or what, but he's like, I know you'll find a way to pay me for this. Maybe you should call your dad. So is
Yeah.
the goal here for Larys to have Alicent have Otto Hightower come back as the Hand now that...
I guess so. Whether that I have trouble believing that was the end goal for him, because it
There's
feels
gotta be
like
more, but-
trading his own father for Hand for Otto feels weird. But
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, that's a calculated move.
We
right
never
there.
we never really see, and correct me if I'm wrong, any interaction between Larys and his dad.
Right.
Like there's no...
Not between him and his dad, but we do see the moment between him and his brother where they're the two that are talking at the wedding when
About
they
the
say
green dress.
About the green dress.
Yeah. And that was the only sort of interaction.
Yeah, and Harwin like laughs when that happens. So
Didn't seem like they hated each other.
Yeah, they didn't hate each other.
Yeah.
So he was willing to do that to someone he didn't hate
Right. Just alarming.
and was related to him.
There's some theories going around, and I don't want to speak too much on it because I don't know a whole lot about it. But if anyone in the chat has some theories about how the rats tie in to Laris, does he have the ability to see through the rat's eyes? Because they make a point to show these things
All the time.
in every episode, and they're always at the sort of like in this episode, he was in the king's chambers.
Yeah. Always around Viserys.
Viserys was like having a cry, as you do as king.
Yeah.
And obviously in the episode before that, he was at the ceremony, the wedding ceremony, and he was slurping up on the smashed blood and brains of Joffrey.
Oof. Yep.
And we see Rhaenyra and Laenor decide they're going to go to Dragonstone.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to up and leave. So things are like this episode. A lot happened, and by the end of it, there is quite a shakeup.
Yes.
And I don't really know where it goes from here, but it doesn't look like anyone's gotten any better, or their situations have gotten better, unless you're Kristen or Laris. Alicent maybe.
Alicent's kind of holding on, though.
She's holding on. Like, I don't know if she's like really ready for the type of evil that Laris has brought into
Yeah.
this.
Right. And now she's implicated. So it's like, well,
Yeah.
I might have to commit to this bit and be that person now.
Yeah.
Is she stuck?
Yeah. She's in a hard place.
Comment from Spy Checking Pyro says Littlefinger was also the Lord of Herron Hall later on. So
First.
Littlefinger, somebody that we hate as
Yep.
well.
Beep, beep.
Beep, beep. Okay, we are going to take another commercial break. When we get back, closing thoughts, some more questions. So stick around. We got more Keeping Up with the Targaryens right after this commercial break. We back, and that was Emily Rose dancing in the background, ladies and gentlemen. We're the only stream that has an almost completely see-through commercial break card.
Yes.
It's got to be one of those things where it's either going to make or break us one of these days, because somebody's going to see something that goes on, and I'm going to forget, I'm going to do a thing that'll cancel me in front of the eyes of everyone watching. So stay tuned. That's a great reason to keep watching during the commercial break.
Wow. Chekhov's gun right there.
That's right. That's right. So what an episode. I want to talk a little bit about anything that you want to tee up that we can look forward to. I know you said a little bit about how Vhagar might have a new dragon rider.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to bring up, and this is the thing that seems pretty obvious to me, but it seems like Rhaenyra and Damon are destined to kind of come back, and hopefully we get that erotic incest point back up on the dragon scale. I really am very excited to see that.
I feel like there's definitely points to come with that.
Yeah, hell yeah. And I love hearing Lena's. I can't see her face right now, but all I hear is, yeah.
No, thank you.
It's coming. I know. And he's single now. And this one, he didn't murder.
No.
We forgot to talk about. We
Oh,
forgot
yeah.
to
A
talk
lot
about.
happened.
Big moment here.
We talked. Forgot to talk about the very big moment where Lena's in childbirth, and Damon's faced with the same decision that Viserys was faced early on, which is you can maybe save your unborn child, but it'll come at the expense of the mother. And before Damon can even make that decision, Lena does one of the most badass things I think you can do, and the coolest ways you can go in this universe. And she walks out to her old dragon, stands and sits and kneels right in front of him and says, Dracarys, 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 and Vhagar. And I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. But Vhagar, obviously there's this bond where he's like, what? It's like, you could just see like, oh no, like what? But then there is that sort of like, you're watching this dragon almost register exactly what's going on. I can see Vhagar going, oh, she's not going to make it. She wants to go from me. This is like an honor for me. Like, I don't want to lose her, but this is better than the fate that awaits her if I don't do this.
Yeah.
It's really, really fun. That's where the CGI budget goes, is in these sort of like little eye blinks and like the way he tilts his head. And
I really thought I really was on the fence as to whether Vhagar would go through with it, because it really, like, it's just a CGI dragon eyes, but you could see the calculation going on there.
It's going against everything that he's like wired to do, you know? Like, I'm assuming when you're bonded to a rider, you got to do everything you can to protect that rider. And it's really hard to do. It's kind of like pissing in the ocean. It's hard to get it out. Your body's not used to peeing in your pants or in your wetsuit.
Couldn't have thought of a better example.
And you just
There is
gotta,
none.
Yeah.
you gotta just force it. Do you know what I mean? And so that water's cold, and you just gotta go. And when you do, you go, and it's like, oh, okay, I feel better. What a cool shot. Vhagar completely. And here's another question I had. Is it the Targaryens that are fireproof and not the Valyrians? Like, what's the rule there? Do we freaking know? Because there seems to be a lot of like, when Lena and Damon were flying, and Lena, Dracarys is like that big fireball in the sky,
Yeah,
and then
he
Damon
goes
flies right
right through
through it.
Right.
That's the show telling me, at least in my opinion, like, oh, he's fireproof. He goes through that fire cloud because that's not something normal people should be able to do.
I totally didn't clock that, but yeah, I don't think all Targaryens are fireproof. I think there are certain people who are, picked by destiny. They have something to complete, and maybe the rules of what, call it magic, the rules of how the universe bends a little bit for you, whereas like Daenerys's first bathing in fire.
Yeah, I don't know, but that was a very powerful scene.
Yeah.
It got us a what did we do? +1 or +2 for? I think we did a +1 dragon roasting a character, not a principal character, which would be +3. But overall, like, what an episode! Again, almost a 36-point episode if we're going by the dragon scale. Very strong episode. There's a lot of questions that we have, but like a wonderful reset to the show, introducing new characters. Now we have all these kids that are like, every time every episode happens, it's like new people, and every single one of these new characters is like a liability.
Yeah.
And it's somebody that we're either really enjoying or somebody like we want to see, get hurt. And then an overarching villain in Laris Strong.
Oh yeah.
What a wonderful sort of shady character that I'm gonna look forward to like being uncomfortable by. Does anyone have any thoughts on like him being like the rat seer?
I haven't seen anything in chat about it.
Somebody send me a tweet. Send me a message. We got a question here from Jared Pavo. Says, what are your thoughts on the adult actors taking over from Allison and Rhaenyra's characters? What do you think?
They did such a good job standing up to all of the returning characters and so they just did such a good job and just through body language. Again, I really loved the body language in this. And it's a shame that Lena doesn't stick around any longer because she was a great foil to Damon.
She was cool. I was glad to see my counterpart die.
Yeah.
Well, there's less confusion now with you being...
I guess.
Yeah. Fortunately for us, you will carry on. Our Lady Lena will make it to episode 7. Maybe episode 8.
Well, this is our second Joffrey in 2 episodes, so there's probably like 50 Lenas coming down the line.
That's true.
I know.
I want to give a special shout out to Laenor, the adult Laenor.
Oh, let's hear it.
I just think he's great.
He's charming.
He's obviously been going through a lot of shit and isn't necessarily meant to be the comic relief of the show, but there was something funny about him, like just his sort of exasperation, like, oh, I've been like stuck in this situation, and he's just drinking with his buddies and like palling around.
His
and
special
he's, like,
friends.
Kind of the dad, but not. Like, he's trying to be a dad, and the kids are like, yeah, whatever, Laenor. Like, he's just kind of doing his thing. Trying to have the best time he can in this situation.
He's like one of these house husbands from like the housewife shows who like doesn't really have a job. But like, he's like out palling around, driving in his fast car, probably has some special gal or guy pals around that he sees on the weekends, enjoying a little bit of the drink. And, this is a guy who experienced the love of his life being smashed to bits right in front of him. And there aren't, as far as I know, no therapists back in this time. No one, I don't know if he's been able to like process that trauma, but if not, it seems like he wants to fight. And he made a comment about, he's a knight. And he wants to be out there. And Rhaenyra, this is why I love Rhaenyra. She's like, you bring your guy, bring your new special friend. Yeah. Let's go to Dragonstone. And he shoots a look to him, and he's like, yeah, dude, we're going.
We're going.
It's like, hey, we're going to... It's like when your best friend, like you ask your mom if you can sleep over your best friend's house, and she's like, okay, fine. And then you look at your friend like, dude, we're staying up tonight.
We did it.
That's like the same vibe.
That's what I love. I love that.
Any closing thoughts, remarks, questions that you want answers to questions that there are?
No answers. I think just talking about so many people getting roasted, I'm wondering who is the first principal character we'll see roasted.
Because there will be, right?
Yeah, what's the first time we lay down those 3 points? That's the thing I'm wondering right now.
Yeah, who's going to go from the 3-point line for sure. Layden, you got anything?
Oh.
And you could also just have nothing because you laid it all out on this dock here. Lena,
I just had to
Lena
talk
stayed
about
up
Laenor,
extra late.
My love of Laenor.
I know, Laenor. I mean,
he's my new bestie.
And he looks so dang cool.
He looks cool.
Yeah.
Honestly, much better casting than the guy who's playing young Laenor. I gotta be honest.
Sure.
I wasn't crazy about him.
Sure.
Yeah.
By the way, Aegon, young son, played by David Tennant's actual son.
Really?
Wow.
This is Doctor Who's interwoven. I mean, look.
And
Matt Smith. Yeah.
Yeah. It's Matt Smith. All these sort of like all the actors. I feel like in England, there's a small pool of really great actors, and everyone just cycles from show to show.
Yeah.
So good for them. Really hate Aegon. You know what I mean?
Scared to see what he does.
Aemond, his younger brother, just like even when he was out there at night practice, just the way he was like swinging his sword with his like slouched shoulders. Like, God, somebody get this kid a book. Like this guy's this kid is a reader. Really, really like all the new characters that were introduced,
Yes.
and I'm very interested to see kind of where these characters end up in the next episode. I don't think we're gonna get a 36-point episode, maybe until the penultimate or maybe the finale. But
Probably not.
yeah, right now, guys, if you want, on our subreddit r/G4TV, there is a pinned post, and if you want to add to the dragon scale, there is a thread where you can do that, and we pay attention to it. We'll see it, and that's where we can add your comment or your thought to the dragon scale. And you can obviously follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, and follow our Discord. Get in there. Steven, your Twitter is?
At Stevia with 3 E's.
That's right. Lena?
At Lena Pop, LEYNUHPAWP.
That's right. And I'm at Kasim G. Every week we're here. We have a Fresh Ink She-Hulk episode 7 coming up. We have Andor episode 4 coming up.
Yeah.
Every morning you can catch the feedback here. We have Attack
Including
of the
Wednesday,
Show off.
this week.
Oh, including Wednesday?
This week we got feedback since we don't have the main show.
So look at that extra feedback. We're off on Attack of the Show for a couple weeks, but all the other shows in between are still here. And yeah, we thank you guys so much for hanging in there. If you're enjoying the show like we are, please leave us a comment, hit a like. It really goes a long way to the people that pay attention to this stuff, and we appreciate you guys taking the time to watch it. And until next time, I'm Kasim, and this has been Keeping Up with the Targaryens. We'll see you next week. Dracarys.